to the Astral Tourist and 7 astral projections from the road. I am so happy to be home. Oh my gosh, wow. After I've been traveling, it always feels so good to be back home. I've just returned from a few weeks of traveling, and as many of you already know, when I'm running low on sleep, my astral projections turn into sometimes just quick flashes, fragments, more of the spontaneous autopilot takeoffs, and those strange mixed states that blur, a little bit of lucid dreaming in there too, along with the astral. And now that I'm home and catching up on rest, the longer journeys should return soon. But before the ones I already had drift too far back into my memory, here are the astral projections and out-of-body experiences and some lucid dreaming states I have managed to remember from my travels. They're scattered, a bit strange, and some are pretty entertaining. So let's jump in. For my first sharing here, I'd had a long day exploring Rome, visiting with a friend, and I went to sleep expecting nothing. There was the long jet ride and everything, and then I still had to keep going and going and going. So I was just expecting nothing, just to pass out, really, just unconsciousness. And instead, I guess I had some adrenaline going on. I don't know. I shot straight up out of my body on full astral autopilot, blasted right on through the hotel roof, and found myself racing over the astral version of Rome. And I've been to Rome before and tried and didn't have much luck. So I was really excited, and I had to try and keep my excitement under control. Okay, so the speed was wild. It was like almost uncontrollable for a while there. And I kept trying to take mental snapshots because everything was also super vivid, even though it was going by so fast. So I knew that the pullback would be hitting me pretty quickly. So I was hoping I was like in a little bit of a future version of Rome, but it also seemed like a really close dimension to the physical. So I didn't know like how far ahead in the future I might be in that dimension. And I knew how tired I was, and I was trying not to think about it all too much. And that's, my mind was going and going because finally, Rome. And so, as I was passing over a small parking lot, this is all going by so fast. I'm slowing it down now, like remembering it. I passed a cluster, maybe like 30 to 40, maybe even 50, I'm not sure, of small to medium size. They were all like different sizes, but not too large, of the Black Pyramid shaped UFOs. I keep seeing these in the larger cities, mainly up in the Montreal area when I'm astral projecting around home. I live in the Northeast USA, and I often fly north up into Canada because it's so beautiful. Oh my gosh, I love Canada and the woods. And as I get up into the Montreal area, I've been seeing these Black Pyramid UFOs up there, and sometimes other places too. And I'm not sure what's going on with that, but it seems like in the astral, there are more and more. I'm seeing more and more of these. So I don't know if others are. If you are too, let me know in the comments. Definitely, please. And I'm seeing more UFOs in the astral overall, too. Not just the Black Pyramid ones. Now, these, in particular, were all just parked. There were no lights, no activity. But they were unmistakably the Black Pyramid UFOs. I didn't have time to hover because, again, like this was more of an autonomous astral projection. And the speed was, oh my gosh. So I noticed I was going further north. And so I saw a bright white futuristic, many bright white futuristic cars with these really nice neon blue outlines. And they were just circling in a loop. in this one particular area. No drivers. So I'm thinking again, I'm a little bit in the future, perhaps. I mean, we have electric cars already now, but these seem like a higher kind of version, and they were like hovercraft cars too. So, I mean, that's how it looked in the Astral. So it could have been just like an astral rendition of electric cars, or maybe in the future we do get hover cars. I don't know. There were no drivers in them. There were no beings around. It was evening, by the way. So again, it felt like a really close to the physical layer of Rome, only a little bit in the future. I'm not sure by how far. That's what it was feeling like. And I saw those, and I definitely made another bookmark, a mental bookmark, because I think they were hover cars. I don't remember seeing tires. So then I noticed my energy was already dropping off already. And I was going down like towards the street level. And when I kind of landed, I say landed, I was still kind of floaty. My astral phone apparently fell out of my pocket. About then I noticed I had a pocket even, and then I had a phone, and then it fell out. And I knew I had to get my phone. So I was losing a little bit of lucidity, but not much. I'm still at least I was still 80% there, holding on to all the images and everything. And I didn't know what outfit I had on, and I didn't take the time to look because I didn't want to. I was conserving my energy, and I thought that bit of time could be used for something else. But I knew I had a pocket, and I saw that phone that came out of it. It was smaller than my regular phone, and it had this black screen full of static and odd symbols on it. And just, I did take note of that, and that I think helped me stay even more lucid because I knew it was a different phone. I was like, okay, I'm still in the astral. It's still a different phone. It's my astral phone, one of them. I have so many, it seems. And so I made another mental bookmark of the phone, just trying to hold on to all the memories and then remember all the previous bookmarks. This is the kind of vigilance it takes, especially if you're tired, to bring back the memories. And then I tried to take off flying again, which worked a little bit, and I was really surprised that I even could. So I think that focusing on the phone and everything helped stabilize my energy a bit there, and focusing on the street level. And I took off, but then I didn't get very far. I remember seeing a statue glowing in blue, of a Roman person, but I didn't know who it was. Then I was coming back down again. I noticed eroded walls that reminded me of the Colosseum, but I saw green grass below me. There was light, but it was still evening somehow, and I thought maybe I'm getting into some kind of a time thing here again. And there were a surprising number of lions. I kept seeing lions everywhere. And I tried to fly a little bit higher and maybe just get past the area, but I didn't have the energy to do that. And I was also actually kind of interested in the lions. So, that could have contributed to my not being able to get past them too, because I was going back and forth in my mind wow, look at those lions. And at the same time, I'm falling lower, because I didn't have full control. And as my energy ran out, I knew I was going to come down into the area with the lions there. And what I thought was some version in time of the Colosseum. I think this was a blended bubble version or something, because, Colosseum, but also the walls were way eroded down. So also, again, future version mixed with the past with these lions, or maybe lions come back. I don't know. And so I was coming down, and I was doing a 360 to see exactly where the lions were. Maybe I could slide to the side or something. And I couldn't. And I tried to shapeshift into water to avoid this one giant lion that decided to leap towards me. Cats can see in the astral so well. Not just cats, lions too. You think cats can see? Lions even better. Tigers and things like that. I've been in these primeval periods, man, And the sight of cats is amazing. Any kind of cats, lions, pumas, panthers, they see you. Don't even assume they don't. In the astral, they do. So I was coming down. I tried to shapeshift into water because that's one of my go-tos, especially around cats. And when I'm low energy, I have a pretty easy time usually just being a puddle of water. It's and it's one of my favorite things to be. You don't have to do anything. You can just be there, be a puddle. But what happened now? Instead of water, I became a sticky astral goo. Yep, didn't work. I was too low on energy. I guess not a clear enough intention. The lion landed on me. Like, it felt like he was all over me, radiating this warm, wild cat energy. And I don't know that it had intended to attack or just leap on me. Because all I got from it immediately was that it was super confused. Hilariously, deeply confused. And I mean, I guess it wasn't funny to the lion, right? So, I was doing like a panoramic 360. I'm like, what happened with the puddle here? The cat's confused and not just irritated. It splashed in water. So I did the 360 and its claws were stuck inside my gooey self. And it had no idea how to unstick them, like it was trying to them them back out of me. And, it didn't hurt at all. I knew, that I was like semi-fluid, and I didn't think of it as an attack, really, just a curious cat. Well, curious lion. And I basically saw that I was celestial mud, and I was kind of in a spherical form, which is also a different one of my go-tos. So I had made it that far along, and this poor lion was just trying to solve the world's stupidest puzzle. Like, how did that happen? Why am I stuck? And that's when I got pulled back to my body. But I have to say, feeling that wildcat energy, I really loved that. And it was something I wasn't expecting to feel or experience. I was just trying to avoid the lion at first. But now I'm really wow, I kind of wish I'd got to spend more time with that lion and feel that amazing primal energy. So yeah, that was that one. So this next one is my failed Mount Vesuvius attempt. I made a short about this one that I was going to try. So you can check that out in my shorts. I don't have too many of them. I'm new at making shorts, and I was just trying to connect with people while I was traveling, and that seemed like one of the easiest ways to do it. So if you want to see what I was trying to go for and what I was looking at and focusing on, you can check out that short for that. So I was in a Naples hotel room, not even a proper hotel. It turned out to just be like this person renting rooms in their place. But anyway, it actually had this perfect view of Mount Vesuvius. So I set my intention to astral project straight to it. I mean, I had the perfect imagery there. It looked like a hop and a skip flying wise. And I almost made it, but not quite. So that night I made it out of my body and into the hallway of this building where these rooms were in. But I did not make it out of the building even. I was so sad at first, but then I was just wandering the hallway, and I met this really friendly married couple. I think they looked like they were in their 50s. The man was mostly zoned out, but the woman wanted to talk. So I invited them into our hotel room, and, she admired my hairpins of all things, my hair stuff. And apparently I had this whole collection, even more than I usually take around in the physical. And she asked to borrow some because I had so many. And she really liked them. And she has, actually at that time, more hair than I do. I mean, I'm trying to grow my hair out, but wow, she was doing better at it than I was. But I handed her a few of my hair things along with some extra bobby pins. And that was that. And I got pulled back. That one was really fast. I tried so hard to get to Mount Vesuvius, but it just did not work. Oh, but I liked meeting her. She was really nice. So this next one, astral projection number 3 that I remember, is about meeting a Tulpa being. So what is a Tulpa being? It's a created being that somebody makes and kind of like programs with their intentions. So a created being. So this one, this astral projection is kind of blurry, especially at first. But I know I was flying through space, and I know a lot more happened before that. I was like, I don't know, some amazing adventure or planet or something. But the part I remember is flying through space on a dance path someone had created between the stars. There were no planets, but I have the feeling that there were, like just outside this path area. Anyway, it was a choreographed route in the cosmos. And again, partly lucid, not fully on top of things. I was spinning, looping through the stars that had been, along this path that had been created. And on these kinds of created things, the energy of the creation itself will kind of help you along. So it wasn't all on my own energy. And I kept flying through it and doing these acrobatics for what felt like ages. And then, finally I was like, wow, that was great. But I feel like I've been here for like a month or something. And I decided to check on a friend, and I just thought it would be fun, like before I woke up, to see if I could check on this one friend in the astral. Like maybe I could really find him, And I have a few times in the astral before, but he doesn't remember. So when I've asked him anyway on the previous attempts. So I set the intention again. I felt like this automatic acceleration, again, like an autopilot, and arrived at an astral version of his house, which I've seen before in the astral, one of his houses. There was no front door this time, though. It was just glowing, and the energy felt a little bit eerie, like protective, but strange. And I thought, well, maybe he's done something new with the protection around here, And just inside the door was a pale girl with long, tangled black hair, wearing a tattered, pale dress and a half-smiling grimace. She looked like she walked straight out of a Halloween special, folks. Oh my gosh, like this is like some ghost or a little semi-demon thing. I don't know. I couldn't tell if she was a spirit, a manifestation, or a tulpa. That thought did cross my mind that my friend had created. And knowing him, we're not super, super close, but knowing what I do about him, I figured Tulpa probably, because I know he knows enough to protect his space, right? He's at least that experienced. He's very experienced, very, very experienced. So I'm looking at this thing like, well, why this, And so I just decided, okay, I'm just going to act normal. And I asked if he was around. And I used his online name he goes by. And she said, oh, he's out. And I told her, well, just let him know the astral tourist stopped by. That's exactly what I said. I didn't use my real first name or anything. But she perked right up and said, oh, are you? And she used my real first name back to me, which this one particular friend actually knows. I don't share it with that many people online, but he knows it. And so that was like a confirmation. Yeah, he made this, whatever this is. So one of his protections, I guess. So I said, yes, that's me. And she immediately perked up and she offered to send him a message. Like her smile, her grimace thing, like went all the way like super big, on both sides of her face. It still looked really weird because, again, Halloween special gal here. So I told her, don't bother him. I could email him if I wanted when I woke up, and that I was just, in the astral for a long time, playing in space, and decided to stop in and say hello. and then I got pulled back. For number 4 here, I surprised one of my spirit guides. So one night I set an intention to visit one of my spirit guides, but I didn't specify who or anything. Now, I had already been astral projecting, actually, when I made this intention. I don't remember what happened before or after. I remember I was semi-lucid. I was flying, and I decided to use the open a door method. And I'm not sure why I even decided to try to get a hold of a spirit guide. I think I was just fed up maybe with having a dream or whatever was happening in the astral. Like I felt like there was both going on. There was stuff going on in my head. There was stuff going on in the astral. I thought I could really use a spirit guide. And one of the ways to get a hold of one or just to move into a different dimension is to ask for like a makeshift portal. And one of the ways you can do that is to say, open a door, open a portal. I intend to astral project via a portal too. And then it helps if you add in details. But being semi-lucid, the only details I added were like, I want to visit one of my spirit guides. And I could have done way better. So don't do it that way. Listen to my how-to videos and do better. So, most of the doorways I ended up opening led nowhere. One showed a garden, a nice garden, but no beings in it. So I didn't go through that one. And other ones were just like gray, like nothing. And after several attempts, I opened a door. Then through it looked like there was a small Akashic library. I'm like, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. And inside it, I could see, like way in the back of the room, was a man with wavy dark hair and a blue suit. And he felt really familiar. I've seen him before. So I floated on in. He genuinely looked surprised. Like, whoa, I surprised him. And he lifted his hands in a welcoming gesture. And he was still like way across this room. And once I got in there, it was even bigger than it looked like from the outside. So I'm like looking around this grand place. He's way in the back trying to come towards me. He's making a welcoming gesture. He tried to telepath something to me, but I couldn't hear it clearly. Like it was just getting like radio noise. So I explained that to him. I don't know if he heard me. And he kept moving closer, repeating whatever he had just said before. And that's right when I got yanked back to my body. So whoever he was, he did feel familiar, and I hope I see him again. I surprised my spirit guide. Oh well. Moving on to astral projection number 5 that I remember. Short but sweet. Tracking a thief in an astral mall. So in this projection, I'd been hired along with a partner to track and identify a thief in one of these enormous astral malls. The thief was fast, female. I knew she was female, and nearly invisible. And I knew I'd been hired because I'm wicked fast in the astral, at least on a good day. So, she was darting between these shops like a little matrix glitch or something, barely visible, just like a blur, and you'd see like a little wiggle in the area or something. And it reminded me of these games I used to play with fairies. And you can find those in my how-to videos in my early days when I was first learning to astral project. All my training with the fairies got me so fast. I'm not as fast as a fairy, but this lady was quick, and I was hired because I'm quick now. Lots of years of experience just training to be fast. So, my partner and I'm not entirely sure who the other person was. But I knew I had a partner. I could hear them. We were like connected somehow. I knew we both had paintball guns to tag the thief with color. So we're really like trying to remember, track, and identify. That was the mission. The mission is track and identify. And so we're popping all over this mall. We're wicked fast. And the thief finally like ran into some clothing racks as she ran out of like a tiny bit of energy. And it was only like very briefly, but it was just enough to give us time to shoot. My partner messaged me before telepathically. She had a shot. I had a shot. We both aimed the paintball things. Mine hit her hair, hit the thief's hair with red. It lit her up really bright red. And the other one had green, I think, and got her like lower down in the leg or something. And so we both got a good visual of what she looked like. Brown hair, wispy. So we both telepathed her image out to, with the intention to whoever had hired us. And also to everybody else around. Thief, 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 and then I woke up before finding out what the reward was. But in these kinds of places, there's usually like some kind of reward from the shops or something. Maybe a nice outfit or something. I don't know. I guess I'll find out later. And if I don't, I don't. I gotta trust these things. Anyway, that was the job. Mission accomplished. So this next one is a bit weird. I'm calling it Spirit Guide Emotional Baggage Helper. This is Astral Projection number 6. So toward the end of my physical world trip, not all the way at the end, but towards it, I was feeling really overloaded empathically, emotionally, energetically, crowd after crowd. I'm not the greatest one in crowds. I was keeping pretty zen for most of it, but it was really starting to get to me, all these crowds and people. And, I just really wanted to get home by then, but I knew I couldn't. So one night I slipped into a blended state and woke up in the astral version of my bedroom here at the new home. So my protection words were still in place. I was happy to see that. And outside the windows, I heard noises and people. And I could hear them telepathing that they were window cleaners. So I just kind of accepted that. And I peeked out the window. I opened some of my protection and peeked out. And I saw that there were several out there, scaling the walls up towards my window. And that was so weird. And then I decided, okay, I'll just go in the other room and let them clean the windows. I felt like it was okay because they were window cleaners. I know it's silly, right? And this one kept telling me, it's okay. We're just here to clean. And so one came in specifically, and the others did too, but this one came into the other room where I was in, trying to just zone out. And I noticed after I got speaking with the one that they were all wearing these simple blue pajama uniforms. They were both at the same time. And one of them, this one that had sought me out in whatever other room I had gone into there, showed me an image of built up laundry while telepathing about emotional baggage, trying to explain why they were there. And, I was like, yeah, I have been feeling emotionally overloaded and energetically, I've had enough and I'm not doing the laundry. And he smiled and explained, he'd been assigned to help me with that. I was like, wow, that's really cool. And I figured I'd already given permission to get help, so I guess that's why they were there. And I woke up feeling pretty good about it all. So thanks to my spirit guides who helped me towards the end of my journeys there. Okay, we're all the way up to Astral Projection number 7. I'm sorry about my voice. I'm still getting over a little bit of a cold here. The Green Breath Locale. Okay, so my final recall from the trip before I actually got home, I phased directly into a large house at dusk in the astral. Inside, it was a bright white room full of people, maybe 50 or 60 people. outside were gardens with trimmed hedges. I was using my 360 Astral vision, going all around, looking. And I noticed right away my cat was there, and that's what drew me there. I've got her like Astral identified, tagged, a million ways to everywhere in the Astral. Like, big Astral exchange for taking care of my passed on cat here. And she was looking great, really healthy, extra fluffy, very peaceful. Wow. I always love it when I get to see my kitty. Oh, and the woman who ran the space, drifted over to me. She had dark curly hair, like dark brown, not black, and a green scarf on her head with these wonderful plant motifs. Like I could tell this is a real creative soul. And she exhaled like the smallest little cloud of green mist. Not even a cloud. It had a particular shape to it, and that I can't really describe very well. It had a pointy end, but then like a special decoration at the other end of it. And somebody nearby to her, maybe helping her with communication for me or not. I don't know. There were quite a few people in the room, maybe overhearing and things about, I was like, wow, my cat, thank you. So somebody telepathed that this was the Green Breath Workshop Locale area. Not exactly in those words. It was more like a thought bubble with all of that information. So I thanked them. That's how telepathy is sometimes, by the way, for those just tuning in. Telepathy sometimes comes with all this information all at once, and then you kind of have to break it down. And I'm not going to go into that right now. But I thanked them. I asked the woman, is there anything I can do in exchange for the care of my cat? And she said the space is a created environment. So this happens a lot in the astral. Somebody will create a space. And for that space to continue to exist, there need to be people there. There needs to be activity. There needs to be energy, or it will degrade. So all she was asking me for was to stay and contribute to this space. So I said, sure. Yeah, I'll hang out for as long as I can. And I did. I spent some time with my cat, petting her. And I noticed the gravity was super light. Like I floated effortlessly. Like I was popping up without even thinking about it from the ground. So I was like, wow, it's really hard to stay grounded here, and maybe I don't need to, right? Because that's that kind of space. It's a kind of a space called breath for part of it. So maybe I don't have to be grounded. And there was no workshop going on right then. Apparently there's this whole workshop that happens. But she wasn't teaching right then. And, I was just floating around the area, observing the people. Some of them made big eyes at me, but they didn't drift up off from where they were to fly with me or float around with me, but they were communicating. Some would make a face, like a happy face. Others would their eyes would get kind of big, but nobody seemed bothered that I was floating around either. So I was hanging out as promised, and I decided to go outside and see the gardens and the hedges and things. And they were really pretty, but it was more nighttime by the time I got out there. Remember, time in the astral is different, so it kind of moves along faster sometimes. Well, a lot of the time, actually. And I got out there. I was mainly able to see the hedges. I didn't notice any wondrous flowers, even though I knew that there were, but I didn't see them. I saw the hedges. And I looked up into the evening sky. I saw wonderful constellations, but then the whole sky lit up, and I saw the amazing aurora sweeping across the sky and fast forward. Now remember, while I was traveling, I missed the whole aurora show on the east coast of the United States. So I'm looking up at this thing and wondering, is this what I missed or some astral version of it? I didn't know, but I was looking up and it was amazing. And what would be hours here in the physical condensed into minutes there. It was just minutes at the most. But it was amazing. It was beautiful. I was like, whoa, can you do it again? And of course not. In lucid dreams, things happen like you like, but in the astral, it does not. So that's one of the ways to know you're astral projecting. You can't just do everything you want and create it like that. I mean, it would be an overlay if you did or something. And it takes a ton of energy. But yeah, I was astral projecting and I saw the aurora in the astral going by like that. And at least I was so happy to get to see some version of it. And I'm not even sure that that's the one that I missed in the physical. I'm not even 100% sure if that's the one that I saw in the astral, but it's kind of the one I think that makes the most sense. So I loved getting to see my cat, meet these, wonderful people. I'm not sure what the Green Breath workshop is all about, but I'm pretty sure it has to do with plants. I mean, this lady was big on plants. I remember that much. And so it's like maybe just connecting with plants in the astral somehow through breath. And we know that here in the physical, the plants respond to breath and things like music. Like when you're singing to them, they respond to the music and to your breath. So I think there's a connection there. I haven't had time to explore it. But yeah, that's that one. Well, that's everything I was able to remember and pull back from my travels. The fragments, the surprises, the strange little moments that make the astral all that it is. It's good to be home and recharging. Thank you all for your patience while I catch up on comments and messages. I love hearing about all of your projections and what you've been experiencing out there. So please catch me back up. Until next time, lots of love, everybody, and happy astral travels.